After a staggering number of injuries shut down their entire front court, the Warriors found themselves getting pummeled in the paint by the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was obvious that something needed to be done. Less than 24 hours later, the franchise announced that they had just picked up a 7-foot breakout G-League star, Omer Yurtseven, on a 10-day contract. Now obviously a 10-day contract isn't all that serious, but this is similar to the contract they initially signed Gary Payton II on. Following Gary's signing, he proved himself to be invaluable and made it impossible for the Warriors to pass on him. In much the same way, Yurtseven, a 27-year-old center with just 113 games of NBA experience, gets an opportunity. So, who is Omer Yurtseven and what can he give the Warriors, and why him as opposed to any other center in the G League? And lastly, the same question that every child asks their mom about the stray dog they just brought into the house. Can we keep him, Mom? Check ball. Omer Yurtseven is a Turkish player who originally went undrafted in the 2020 NBA draft after foregoing his final year of eligibility at Georgetown. He was picked up by the Thunder and placed with the Oklahoma City Blue in the G League. A few months later, close to the end of the 2021 NBA season, Yurtseven signed with the Miami Heat. He played on their summer league team before making his way onto the Heat roster. This is where I got my first look at Yurtseven. My first impression was, how did the Warriors let this level of talent slip through their fingers? And the Miami Heat always seem to find these diamonds in the rough. He had a smashing debut against the Lakers with 27 points and 19 rebounds in just 32 minutes, finishing out the summer with overall averages of 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks in less than 28 minutes per game. He shot 53% from the field and 74% from the free throw line, going 14 of 19. With this as his baseline, going into his rookie season, he looked like he would be a permanent piece on the Heat going forward. But this was 5 years ago. What's happened since then? He started 12 games for the Miami Heat in his rookie season, averaging 30 minutes in those games with averages of 12 points, almost 13 rebounds, and almost 4 of them offensive, along with 2.5 assists. He shot around 53% from the field and 62% from the free throw line. The high-quality shots that big men typically get should see him over 60% from the field. However, up to this point, that hadn't been the case for Yurtseven. But obviously, when it comes to getting boards, he's your guy, with a little bit of a scoring punch to finish over the top. Unfortunately, things went south for Yurtseven the following year. He suffered an ankle injury called a bone spur during the 2022-2023 preseason after playing just one game, after which he had to have surgery. This sidelined him for most of the year, returning mid-March. After coming off the bench for a few games to end the season and spot minutes in the playoffs, even playing a couple of minutes in the finals against Denver, Yurtseven became a free agent as Miami did not sign him on a new contract. There were talks of what he'd become in the front court with Bam Adebayo, and Heat fans were actually quite fond of him. So why did the Heat get rid of him? Questions about his fit with Bam, much like what they're having currently with Kel'el Ware. As a matter of fact, Ware was being called Yurtseven 2.0 because of the similarities in their game. This was around the time Jimmy was cultivating the definition of Heat culture in Miami. The band of overachievers or undrafted players that were able to make the Heat competitive in those years alongside Butler were in fact pretty talented. But just like Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, Yurtseven was one of those guys who ended up having to move on despite this talent. That summer of 2023, the Jazz signed him to a one-year guaranteed deal. In 12 starts for the Jazz, he put up over 8 points and 9 rebounds while shooting 51% from the field in 22 minutes. Again, he posted a strong game on the offensive glass with 3 offensive boards per game. At the end of the season, he was waived by the Jazz after losing the battle against Walker Kessler, who became the team's full-time center following Yurtseven's departure. When no one reached out to Yurtseven in free agency, he signed up with Greece's EuroLeague team Panathinaikos for the 2024-25 season. Around January of 2025, he suffered a right leg fracture and was out for 2 months. The following season, he was yet again sidelined by injury, this time a second-degree adductor strain, the same thing currently affecting Seth Curry that will keep him out for at least a week. Not a serious injury and should have kept Yurtseven out for only 3 weeks, but the team opted out of their contract with him as they wanted to reintegrate a player named Matthias Lissert back into the team. There wasn't enough room. Sounds crazy, but the team had signed Matthias to a 3-year contract while he was injured, and Yurtseven was signed with that opt-out clause in place for this exact reason. Following that, in March of this year, or about a week and a half ago, Yurtseven signed with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers and came back with a vengeance. In just 3 games, he's averaged 23 points, more than 13 rebounds, and 2 blocks while playing less than 30 minutes. He averaged over 5 offensive boards per game, shot 59% from the field, and shot 88% from the free throw line, with his turnovers and assists basically a wash at 1.7 per game. So with the gaping hole at the center due to injuries, the Warriors needed a player. Yurtseven's small sample size puts him squarely as the best rebounder in the G League and top 10 in scoring. But the scoring isn't what the Warriors are looking for. The Warriors need a player who's going to add some size and defend in the paint for about 15 minutes a night. The center position has been pretty taxing to Green, and considering the age of Horford, the health of Porzingis, and now the injury to Post, there aren't many options left on the table. While Post's injury isn't bad, the Warriors were in desperate need of a center and were unable to do anything to keep Minnesota from emptying the clip from the helicopter. Now here's where things get interesting.
They showed me the defense that we play, the setups that we want to get into on offense and everything. Here it's much more about creating all that space for the shooters and everything to come down and making sure those cuts and everything are able to happen within space.
Yurtseven isn't a floor spacing big. While he's had a few attempts in his summer league and rookie season performances, it's not exactly a reliable part of his game. He's not exceptional when it comes to moving the ball, but he's not a black hole on offense either. He'll be quite physically capable of filling the role that Trayce Jackson-Davis would have been in had he not been traded. Playing-wise, he might be closer to Kevon Looney. However, with more size and more athleticism, he'll set screens and can run the floor on fast breaks and finish lobs. He's a good amount of youthful energy the Warriors need, but not anything that would be franchise-altering. If he has the impact GP2 did when the Warriors signed him, that'd be a win for Golden State. But don't expect him to get too much run in Steve Kerr's rotation. The 10-day contract allows the Warriors to evaluate the fit, and he'll be able to sign another one if the Warriors become interested in his game. Unfortunately, the team doesn't have another open two-way spot to sign him. There is still a way, however. If they like him enough, they could sign LJ Cryer to a guaranteed spot for the rest of the season, as they still have a 15th roster spot open, and give that two-way to Yurtseven. If they really like him, it's possible that they could offer him that 15th roster spot and give him a shot to finish out the rest of the season with the team. The team is currently in a position where they could give a bunch of young guys an opportunity to see if they could compete on next year's roster or become a valuable piece in a trade. The injuries to the team will force Golden State to give these guys an opportunity, and if they can make something happen between now and the playoffs, possibly get into a series, things could get really interesting, and even more so for next season. Overall, this was an excellent pickup for the Warriors to give a shot at earning a spot. I expect him to get an opportunity to get on the floor, and if he continues to rebound like he's done over his career, the Warriors could see plenty of value in his offensive rebounding skills. Offhand, this might crash Pods' offensive rebounding party, but let's leave the speculation till we see a few games. I'm hoping he does well enough to earn a spot on the team, as the Dubs clearly need young, lengthy, and athletic players in the front court. I've heard they might be holding out for a wing, but this guy might just do the trick. Let me know your thoughts on the Warriors signing Yurtseven in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, don't forget to click that like or hype button and subscribe to the channel to help promote my content. Till next time, swish.